Hi, welcome back to the Deep Dive series, episode 15 now. I know I said that last week, but I lost count. Anyway, this is looking into the second half of my Office Garage 3, which is chock full of some more real-world race cars. As always, this is a tiny expanded snippet from my full 300 car musical chill-out garage tour, so if you haven't seen that, watch that first, and if you've seen it, maybe watch it again. So, let's get on now with the tour. We can take a last lingering look at the Jägermeister collection whilst we explain the first set of cars. These are the endurance race cars, the cars you would see at places like Le Mans 24 Hours. The first one of these that we have is the Tyrus in-game, based on the McLaren F1 GTR Longtail in real life, and it actually looks pretty close. It's sad that we only have two racing liveries for this car, but it's great that they are both based strongly on two real-world liveries. There's the black one that you do with the bright orange wheels. I did that last year, and in fact I'm back to that one again now. And then there is this one here. So these are, to my mind, the only two viable builds for the car if you wish to keep it real-world. Otherwise, of course, you can do what you like. Anyway, I think it's a lovely car to drive. I love the sound of this car. It is discontinued, but as I record this and for a few more days, it's actually available, so well worth getting if you want to expand your endurance car collection. Moving on now to the Sauber Mercedes C9, or the LM87 of course in game. Unlike the car you've just seen or the one you're going to see, there's lots of viable real-world customization on the car. The popular build is of course the silver with the acid yellow mirrors, and I probably will do that one at some point. But it's of course the one you mainly see the car, and it's the one that everybody seems to do. So for the 2022 garage tour, I think it was the test car, and I've done one I've seen on the Norris Ring 1987 this year because all the stuff's provided for those as well. Anyway, wonderful car, still available and highly recommended. I know that this next car so frustrates fans of real-world builds because we all want to build the Mazda 787B on this RE7B. We're frustrated because Rockstar's copyright infringement team, not content with messing around with the headlights and stuff, they gave us the Estancia livery but only allow you to colour half of it, so you can have a sort of reddy orange or you could put the green, but you can't have both, and it's very disappointing. I've rotated around the colours. However, there is a way out. After much googling, I found the 1991 version of this car that raced in Le Mans, and it was in white with a fairly normal livery, so you can use another livery provided and make that car, and that's what I have now done. So finally I'm rid of this half a coloured livery. Now the car drives fantastically, the stock wheels look perfect, saves you a few quid. And although it's discontinued, it is available right now as you watch this video. If you see it within the first few days, I would highly recommend, along with the Tyrus, that you get this and put together your own little endurance car collection. Moving into the open wheel section, we start with the PR4, which is based on the Jordan 191. It's actually based on one or two different cars, but this one is very close, and of course the Sprunk livery, so much like the 7-Up livery. And this was a car driven by Michael Schumacher way back in 1991. So a very famous car, and certainly one of the most viable builds, I think, on the PR4. From one car of champions to another, the Lotus 97T as driven by Ayrton Senna. Don't worry if you put on the Estancia livery and think, oh, it's the wrong colour or I can't see it. It's because you need to paint the car in the colour of the writing. So you paint the car, in this case gold, then you put the Estancia livery on. I think this car looks absolutely wonderful like this. It's hard to imagine it as anything else. Now I have announced in the past that I'm not going to be doing any more full, like 300 car garage tours in the future. It's too much, and I'm concentrating more on builds and 10 or 20 car collections moving forward. As such, I don't feel the need to rebuild these open wheel cars, and in fact they are 4 cars that I'm probably going to leave exactly as they are. Some of the very few I will leave unchanged in the garage, and this one especially, Ayrton Senna's JPS livery car. Who's going to change that? Moving on now to a car I'm afraid I don't know a lot about. I know nothing about Indy cars at all, but I found the photo of this particular Dallara DW12. I thought it looked fantastic. It certainly seems to be what this car is pretty much based on for real life, so this is the one I've built. There's a good number of liveries available for this car, so even if, like me, you don't know much about the sport, a little bit of time with Google and you can come up with all sorts of builds. The last of the open wheel cars in both the game and this garage is of course the BR8. And it's based on one or two cars, but the McLaren MCL34 is certainly one that's very close. This may not be the most famous build possible on the car, but they have given you the livery for it, and it does look really, really good, lovely and vibrant in the garage, and I think I'm going to keep mine just like this. Our last sub-collection is famous American race cars, and we must start with an apology, for I called this one Bob Seamer's car, but it's actually Bob Cerner's car. He's taken the classic Mercedes 300 SL and made a Bonneville Flats racing car with it. This car is one of the main reasons that you saw a 2023 garage tour, because no sooner was the 2022 one finished than I saw a video about this car, found that the livery existed, and I changed the car. And I thought, wow, this looks so much better than the light blue standard road car that I had in the 2022 tour. And I was so pleased with that I moved on to do another car. I caught COVID, and whilst I was recovering, I did lots and lots more cars, and it all rolled into the 2023 tour. So thank you very much, Bob, for that. Now, we can't have the parachute on the back, but we do have the reinforcing bars up the front, which is nice. Don't worry if you think I've got the colour of the wheels wrong. I've seen the car with silver wheels, red wheels, and also with some big silver flat caps for drag reduction, so you're pretty free in your choice if you build that. There's a lot of interesting race cars that you can actually build on this, and you know, I think because the car doesn't look quite like a 300 SL in some respects, I think the race cars do work a lot better than the road cars, and it's now done this year, in fact, as a car that I've seen at Goodwood. It's discontinued, but like the two other endurance cars, it's available from the time this is published for about 3 days. I highly advise you grab one. If you're on console, of course, you can do the HSW thing on it as well. And if you'd like me to do your video with one or two race builds on this car, then that's certainly something I can do if you're picking one up, so leave a comment below. The next car needs a special crew colour, which I've listed. It's the first ever Dodge Charger Daytona to crack 200 miles per hour, and that gives it a bit of extra fame among all of these really quite famous Dodge Charger Daytonas. Based of course on the Gauntlet Classic Custom. The livery doesn't quite work, but you have the main thing, which is the white ring around the tail and the rear spoiler. I think it looks really good, and in fact I think I slightly prefer this build to the Richard Petty build from last year. It's already been changed to something else this year, and you'll see that in the collection at some future point. This was going to be the very famous rainbow liveried Chevy Luminar, the Hot Ring Sabre. Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, I don't know, this came out right as I was about to do the garage tour. So the Sabre was hurriedly redone as the Days of Thunder car and moved into the movie car collection so I could have room for this, hence the two NASCARs being split up. I based it on Tanner Gray's Toyota Tundra TRD Pro, but I'll be honest, I know nothing about NASCAR or who Tanner Gray is. It was simply the result of some Googling and finding a matching livery. Anyway, I rather like this truck. They're a bit tail happy, but they are great fun, and I'm certainly very pleased I own it. Well, now we've finished this collections within a collection race car garage, we are actually halfway through the deep dives. We've looked at approximately 150 cars so far. It's the same again to go, sorry about that. Next week we're moving into the rally car collection. There's 10 cars in there, which I hope you'll be able to join me to look at. I hope you found some inspiration somewhere in this collection. Maybe you found something you'd like to do to one of your own cars. As always, I'd love comments down below, especially perhaps if you want to know about some of the builds or anything else. I can often run a Let's Build on cars as well for you, so that's always available. Please smash that like button if you've enjoyed the video at all, and subscribe if you like real cars in GTA. Otherwise, and of course this is the most important, thank you so much for watching.